What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode on Keeping It Real with Credit. My name is Ray, and today we're going to be talking about leasing versus finance and what's best for you right now. So when it comes to buying a vehicle, some are faced with a difficult decision on whether to lease or to finance a vehicle. To talk more on this subject, I reached out to my friend Pedro from Express Auto Lease.
My name is Pedro. The name of our company is Express Auto Lease, and what we do is we provide both leasing and financing options for our customers nationwide.
All right, for the million-dollar question, and I'm sure you get this question all the time, what's the difference between leasing and financing a vehicle?
All right, so pretty much when you're leasing a vehicle, you're not paying the true value of the car, which means your payments are going to actually be lower compared to financing. The car is never going to be yours, but you are going to save money on a monthly basis. On top of that, you're going to have the flexibility where you will be able to actually trade in the car and not be upside down once your lease term ends. As opposed to financing, you're going to have to finance the car for either 5, 6, or 7 years. You're going to have to pay the true value of the car every month for that amount of period of time. And if you want to trade in the car before your financing term is over, then you're going to be upside down, because cars aren't like homes. They're not going to gain value. They're going to depreciate. So, I feel like you have more flexibility and options when it comes to leasing.
All right, so financing for right now sounds pretty scary, but let's talk more about what the pros and the cons are in leasing.
So the pros in leasing would be, like I said earlier, you have the flexibility where you can actually get out of the car after 3 years, turn it in. You're not going to owe any money. You're not going to have to roll any negative onto your finance until the next car that you're going to get. And yeah, I mean, you'll be able to drive a new car every 3 years.
That sounds pretty
for
nice.
Less than what you would if you would be financing.
Right, that sounds pretty nice. And now with financing, everybody seems to be financing nowadays. Why do you think that is?
A lot of people have the mentality where they feel that, when you finance, at least once you're done paying for the vehicle is going to be yours, which that is true. But the reality is, at least from my experience and from what I've seen from my customers, is that most people don't really keep a car for 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, the car is going to be yours, but the whole purpose of financing is not having monthly payments. So if you're a customer that can actually keep a car for 8, 9, 10 years, then most definitely I feel like financing is the better option.
All right, so for somebody that is finally establishing their credit and getting their credit score to a level where they can actually get loans or buy a car, what would you suggest them to do when it comes to buying a car?
Well, there's a lot of ins and outs when it comes to that, because there's people that I have came across that maybe have a 700 Beacon score, but they have never had the history of owning, purchasing, or leasing a vehicle. So even if you may have a high credit score, the banks might still ask for a co-signer or maybe a little money down, because you've never really had a loan of such a large amount. Got it.
Now, what's the lowest score you've actually seen where somebody can actually get to a nice car or a vehicle?
I mean, I've gotten people approved with a 590 Beacon score,
wow,
on a Honda, something like that. There's been people that have a 590s, 600s, low 600s, and they want to get a Mercedes or a BMW. That's going to be a little more difficult. Luxury car banks tend to be a little more strict. But I mean, I'm sure we can work something out with someone who has lower credit, for a Honda, maybe a Nissan.
Now, would you suggest somebody like that to lease first or finance first?
That's our personal preference, Again, like if you would like to actually have the flexibility of coming out of the vehicle every 3 years and owning a new vehicle for that period of time, then leasing is the way to go. If you can actually keep a vehicle for a longer term, then financing would definitely be the way to go.
All right, so when it comes to maintenance on a vehicle, what would be the difference between leasing and finance?
Well, when you're leasing a vehicle, you're going to be covered bumper to bumper. So if the engine, if the transmission was to, break down, they would cover it. It's part of the lease. But as far as the maintenance goes, there are a couple of brands that already have the maintenance included within the lease price. Most don't, but For maybe about $20 to $30 more a month, you get the maintenance included. So throughout the 36 or 39-month lease term, everything is pretty much covered on the vehicle.
So everything is essentially included.
Everything is essentially included. That's correct.
So there you have it, guys. When it comes to leasing or financing, it all depends on what your situation is and what you can do financially. When it comes to financing or leasing a vehicle, contact Miami Express Auto Lease. I'll leave the description link below. When it comes to any questions or if you're looking for your next car, they service you anywhere nationwide. With that being said, my name is Ray, and here's to keeping it real.